Hello, hello, it's me again, back with some more gun in 60 seconds explanations. This time we're looking at the M1903. Basically, if you've ever played a World War II shooter before, it's the Springfield. It is the same gun, but they've given it a different name. Some weird thing about licenses and naming guns and stuff that Call of Duty seem to not have a hold of recently. Anyway, moving on to the gun. I don't think there's really much to talk about with this gun. It's a sniper rifle. It's a bolt-action sniper rifle. If you play Call of Duty for any number of years, you'll kind of know how these things work. It is a gun that has the largest one-shot kill zone, apparently, according to the game. And that basically just means it's going to one-shot kill from the hip up towards the top of your head. So very generous area for you to get a one-shot kill, and the fact that the hitboxes on the sniper rifles in general are so generous and the connections are so crisp, it is an absolutely devastating weapon, and it's no doubt that you will have a very fun time when using this one. And if you are very handy with a sniper rifle, it is going to absolutely destroy people when you get the opportunity. Like all weapons in this category, when you use the mounted division, you do get aim assist with the sniper rifle, which you don't get with any of the other divisions, which is why I always will suggest using the mountain. I think not just the fact that you get that aim assist, because you can somewhat use the sniper rifle with other divisions. If you are pretty handy with quick scoping, you won't have to worry too much, or if you're just generally quite accurate, you won't have to worry too much. But I think the whole stealth factor of this division in general, you know, having silent movement, being undetectable to recon planes and enemy kill streaks is a really big beneficial step towards making this whole class so much better, because you basically can't be found by any streaks. You don't have to worry about your teammates being somewhat terrible, because you can just carry on doing your own thing. And the fact that it is so deadly, especially when you get up close and you are able to pull off consecutive quickscopes, it is one of the best classes on the game. There's no doubt about it. It's absolutely phenomenal. And you're really going to have a fun time using it. I'm not really a sniper guy. I don't tend to do it just because I'm more comfortable using automatic guns. I'm a bit of a sweaty tryhard that way. But I enjoyed using this weapon. There were obviously games where I didn't do fantastic, but I think for the most part, it was just such a good gun to use. I never really had to second guess myself. I rarely ever got hit markers with this thing. I don't even remember a moment where I got a hit marker with it, because it was just that consistent. So yeah, Mountain is the only division I could probably ever recommend for this class. It is a no-brainer. There really isn't any other division that could come into it that would sway me otherwise. As far as the attachments go, there's not too many actual attachments you can get on this one. The first one being the 4x optic, which I think is pretty poop. I find that the sway on it is pretty bad. You could probably use the basic training that reduces the idle sway, but in general I don't think you really need it. I think the scope is so good as it is. It gives you a good amount of distance on it. It gives you a pretty good idea how to hit them up close as well, so it's not too close, it's not too zoomed in is what I'm trying to say. It's not too zoomed out. I apologize if some of the things I'm saying make absolutely no sense. I'm a little bit tired and my brain isn't quite functioning at the moment. So yeah, I wouldn't really ever recommend the 4x optic, or the ACOG scope as you might find it's called. Ballistic calibration is great for me as someone who's not really the most proficient sniper, and someone who will, quite frankly, opt to hard scope when the opportunity arises. I've got no shame in that. I'm not really one of those quick scope, no scope QSGs that go around. That's no scope god, by the way. So I'll happily hard scope, and I just like to sit there and let it bob. And I think the fact that if you didn't have it on, the sway is quite bad. If you are a quick scoper, I don't think you have to worry too much about the sway in general. But if I'm aiming down a line of sight and I'm fairly confident someone is going to come around that corner, but maybe I'm not too sure when they're going to pop out, or if they popped out and they've gone back and I'm not sure when they're going to come out, maybe they know I'm there. I just like to let it sit there and bob around, because obviously if you hold your breath, you hold it too long, you run out of air, so your guy starts panting like he's just been on a run like a dog. And then obviously it goes all over the place. It's very hard to control, and it's not the most practical thing in the world. But I like to just let it sit there and bob, and I'll usually use the thumbstick to try and keep it under control as much as I possibly can before actually pulling the trigger or holding my breath, if that makes sense. Just to let it there. And I think the ballistic calibration for that reason is very good, and that is why I tend to use it. FMJ is great on this weapon again, just being able to shoot through objects that might be in the way. I can't say I personally had too many opportunities where that was the case, but it definitely made the difference when it was necessary. But probably not one of those attachments you desperately need. Then again, I suppose it depends on what maps you're playing or how your playstyle ends up. Maybe if you're playing a bit more defensive, it's a good idea. Now, extended mags are great if you don't need to hardscope. I think a good setup is extended mags rapid fire if you are a quickscoper, just for the fact that rapid fire helps out with this time in between shots. Obviously, there is a little bit of delay, so you could scope in, your guy's still pulling the bolt action right, and you can't actually get the shot off. And I had that the first few moments I was using this gun. But having those two, if you are a proper quickscoper, is really, really good, because obviously you don't need the ballistic calibration for that swaying. Optics not going to help you that much. FMJ's a bit of a wasted attachment in that sense, because I think in general it's got pretty good penetration. There's only so many opportunities you're going to need it. And I think if you're getting that close for quick scopes, probably aren't going to need FMJ in general. And then obviously rapid fire does exactly what I said before. It just helps you speed up shots and delays the time in between them, which is a very big beneficial, and I see why people now use it. I didn't really get it at first, but I do now after using this gun. Basic training is pretty simple. I think Lookout's the best one. Just having names pop up at distance a little bit quicker for you is so much more beneficial than anything else you could possibly have on a sniper. It just gives you that heads up, and you know how to position yourself and where to look. Lookout is definitely better than most of them. I say primed could be a good one. Maybe the flinch will help out if you are a big hard scoper. Having an extra attachment is obviously very beneficial as well. If you want that, like maybe FMJ or the ballistic calibration, if you are a quick scoper going with extended mags rapid fire. Rifleman, if you want a better secondary, so you have a primary instead of a secondary. And Duelist, which gives you akimbo pistols. If you are playing something like Search and Destroy, that could be a good basic training. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, do drop a like, rate, subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll see you for the next video. Peace out.